You see who's here, right?
Chuck's here.
Got everybody but Dan.
Yeah.
So
So,
I guess do the roll call.
yeah, you want to do it? Go for it.
Okay.
Everybody's here.
Dan Dixon is excused. John Barbera,
Yeah.
Chuck Hart,
Yep.
John DeMiglio,
Here.
David Rivera,
Yeah, present.
and Pat Nave.
Here.
So we've got 6. That's a quorum.
All right. I'm going to disappear for a second.
Welcome.
Let me get the issues going up.
John, we have 2 attendees. Is that, or do you know if one or both of those is the speaker?
Yeah, James Ruska, I believe that's his name, or if I pronounced it right.
Well, he
Hi there,
can tell
John.
us.
Yes, that was right.
Okay. Let me do this. Where is? Let me do it again.
You trying to bring up the agenda?
Yeah. I had it set. You want to go ahead and do it? You got it set up?
Well, I will in a minute.
Okay.
So if you want to go ahead and start anything while I'm doing that, go ahead.
Okay. Well, everybody, we have today, as you could see, his name is James Roska, and he's from LA Sanitation. And he's, Dan got him, they talked and everything. So he is going to talk about the composting, you know, what can be used and what cannot be used. And, you know, give us all the ins and outs about that. And so after we do the, you know, the public, does anybody have anything for the public agenda?
I guess I do. I guess it's the right place to do it. I think I mentioned the trees dying on Western Avenue. I'm not sure because I don't have my minutes from the previous meetings. But anyway, I'll just bring it up again because they have not been taken care of. That's the trees on Western Avenue from between 9th Street and Summerlin, and also from 9th Street to points west. I think there's about 10 or 11 trees that are dead.
That's all the way to 19th Street, I think, down that way, right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
All the way down that line going to 19th Street?
Yes, yeah. Also, on Gaffey Street, to our beautification project on North Gaffey Street, there's at least 9 or 10 dead trees there also. Now, I know we contacted the port on that, about probably 8 months ago. And I got an email back saying that the timing is not right. The best time to plant those is in the fall, which is past, but the trees are still there and they're still dead. So I just feel we should get that taken care of. It's on port property. They're responsible for it. The ones on Gaffey Street.
Okay,
We have to take care of it because they're being, the trees, some of the trees they planted a couple of years ago on our request, they planted the wrong kind of willow. And you can see they've totally outgrown the others by about 10 feet. So they're not very good at replacing some of the trees. Anyway, that's my point. I think we should get it taken care of. The trees will never catch up if we don't plant them very soon.
oh, that's true. Okay, yeah, I'll look at it with Dan and we'll look and we'll see what we can do. And then we can have it on our agenda for next month.
Thank
That
you.
we can work on this. I have one that we're gonna try to work with public safety and any issues committee that, you know, the fireworks, I think we talked about it, and the fireworks that are going off here at the houses, you know, the big ones. We need to get with LAPD Harbor and start figuring out, you know, whether we got to write a letter or do something. You know, Dan wants to see what you guys think and what you come up with. And yeah, if there's any, but we need, I mean, it's ridiculous throughout the whole year and they're blowing these big ones up right here in our own residential areas. You know, so that's one that we'll put down on the agenda next, for next month. But maybe you guys can think about it and, you know, see what you guys, anything you come up with, any ideas, what's a good solution. And then we're going back to this because Dan said we did it a couple of years back. So, you know, like everybody's, you know, take on this. Because they shoot them all over the place. I mean, they shoot them here by our streets, up on Channel, I know over by Taper, by John DeMiglio's place. And, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of scary that they're exploding these huge ones, the ones that they use for the regular 4th of July, right over our own properties. So something to think about. Anybody else got anything?
I have my hand raised.
Go ahead, Chuck.
On the issue that you're talking about, I just suggest we cut to the chase. We've been through this every year, like you said. It doesn't get any better. We just cut to the chase, invite the police officers to attend our meeting next week and let us know what they can and cannot do, or even if they're going to do anything. The way things are going now, the police department.
That's a good idea. We'll have them at the next meeting.
We'll save at least 2 minutes by doing it that way.
Yeah.
2 meetings, I mean.
Okay. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, we got any information on the speed bumps on Sandwood or the Mary Star situation? I think we were supposed to look into it at the first of the year.
Not that I know of. I'd have to ask
I know they have a
Dan.
schedule. I know they have a schedule, city streets or something that they put out, but I don't know if maybe Dan saw that schedule and if Sandwood, you know, is going to be next in line sometime in the future.
Is that the main? That's the main one. The main street going into Mary Star.
No, that's between Taper and Berrywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the shortcut people use coming out of the school there, Mary Star, and it's been perturbing some of the residents in that area on Sandwood and especially Berrywood.
Okay.
At the end of school because they take that route to get to Westmont rather than go straight to Taper, which is always backed up every day. So I thought I'd mention that.
Okay. John, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna speak on that, those speed bumps. They're put in already.
Oh,
Um,
great.
They bypassed the neighborhood council and they got it done on their own because we're a group of people that can't get it done. And that's bottom line. They got it done.
Uh,
They got the bumps in, they got signage in, speed limit signs. And from what I understand in that area, they're still speeding through the area because those bumps that they put humps there, not bumps. So that they can speed through those bumps just the same as they're still catching people speeding. They're taking pictures of people speeding, even with the bumps in there, even with the signage in there. And also Mary Star put a guy, in fact, it was Chewy that they put out there for a while. They put him out there to monitor it. And I think he had a cart or something like that. And I don't know if they still have him out there or not, but just that's what I have on that.
great.
Those humps that they did, John, those are the ones like, when you're going up Berrywood and you pass Amelia, like you're going up to Mount Shasta, those are those kind of like wider ones
Yeah.
and they're like a mound.
Yeah, they have to do it that way because of the firemen don't like those bumps. So the humps are okay. So because
Yeah.
they, when they go over the bumps and stuff. And so that's why they put these, what they call humps in there. And
Yeah,
it really, I could fly through those things and really doesn't affect me much because my shocks will take care of it. I can go over it. And that's what's happened. They're still speeding through that area.
okay. Well, maybe we can, like I said, if we get one of the officers next month to come out and talk about it, we can ask them, see what they have for a solution.
Yeah, Mary Star and the neighborhood people there had a big talking, and basically, and I think Chuck was there too. Basically, Mary Star pulled the strings on that one and had it done.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Well, there's your answer, Dave. Okay. Chuck, go ahead.
On the same issue, regarding the police department, have them come prepared to answer how many citations, if any, have been written over there. Just, don't bring up a question to a patrol officer, they won't know anything. So if he has what we're looking for ahead of time, he can come more prepared to answer the questions.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. And we got,
One more thing on that subject, because I'm in pretty good contact with those people there, is they're taking pictures and then they're turning it into Mary Star to see if it's in their parking lot or whatever, one of their students' parents or whatever. And I think they've caught one person I know at least speeding through the neighborhood regularly. So, it's an ongoing thing. And we'll see. I don't know. I don't think that, maybe Chuck knows, is that road opened up from Western yet? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm sure you know, Chuck.
No, it's not open yet. They're still, well, I checked last week. They're still constructing along that fence, the wall. It's a huge retaining wall. So there's still workers there. The last I checked, that was about a week and a half ago.
okay. All right. The only thing we got from Dan got a little insert from, is it Chris or Craig? I forgot his guy's name, from the defense. And he's saying there's no update or nothing right now, but there is in the next few months, either April or May, they're getting together and they're going to have, and they're trying to, he says, we're hoping that they'll have something within the next couple of months that we can bring to the board and let everybody know what's happening with the defense fuel depot. So that's all he got on that. And I'm going to drop down to, there's also, I got an update today from Ryan finally on this, on Weymouth, the decorative lights that hang across. that there's one barely hanging on by a wire tie. And Ryan finally found another company, because the company that initially put those on quit. They don't do it. And so he found another company, and they're waiting on funding because they're a little bit behind. So we should know something hopefully in the next 2 to 4 weeks, and they can come out and fix those lights, bring them back up to where they're not hanging too low, because if one more notch goes, truck's going to hit them and take them with us, and he's going to rip those out. So Diana Costa from the bakery was included in the email and that she sent to him and to me. So like I said, he got back, and so hopefully we'll get that resolved here in the next 2 to 4 weeks. I'm going to bring in you know, on the interim on the developing on the bus routes. I don't know if any of you read it. Dan said he read something in the paper. I guess they're going to have a bus that's going to go from downtown LA to supposedly to San Pedro, if anybody's heard that. But what they were doing was that he found out that they're trying to get a long range electrical bus. So because I know we all read some last couple of weeks that they want to get so many electric buses. Well, now they're trying to find and get one that can go the distance, you know, LA to Pedro and LA. So we have that going. And then John, have you heard anything else about the trolley that supposedly was supposed to hook up?
You asking me, John DeMeglio,
Yes, John.
about a trolley? I don't know anything about the trolley, but just to let you know, there is already.
Well, Dan said something about from Target, from up Target or something. There was supposed to be like the regular San Pedro trolley, or they were running or wanting to run.
Target Park. Anyway, there's also a bus. There's a constant bus going from San Pedro to Long Beach also. They already have that intact. They already have that.
Right. Okay.
Nice if they, you know, maybe did it more consistently, more often, you know, but you know, then when you get there, you know, hard to take a bus to LA, but then you got to have all the different buses going to where you want to go once you get there.
Right.
That's
Yeah, I don't know what they're. I know he said there was something in the paper he read yesterday or today. You know, and they're trying to get these long range electric buses. I mean, personally, I still think they're quite a ways yet to go before we see these electric vehicles and buses, you know, do us justice. But you're right. Yeah, once you do that, what are the other buses that you got to take around now? And then getting back, what time does the bus come to pick you up to take you all the way back to San Pedro? You know, how often is it going to run? That's the other question. So if you guys hear of anything or read of anything, you know, keep us posted, you know, write it down and we'll bring it up next month. He'll put it on the agenda. He's going to look into it some more. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. My son takes the bus. He has a disability. He knows all the bus locals and Long Beach. They used to go there with their classes and stuff, special ed classes. You know, what I was trying to do with that one 3 years ago, and I think it still should come into play now, is there's a ton of people going to Target and they take the bus and you see them outside 7-Eleven and you see them on the other side where it drops them off coming in from lower part of San Pedro. And, you know, it's just, to me, convenient for them to go from Target up to Park, Sprouts area, anywhere in that area. and be able to use the facilities up there and then come back down and take the bus going down Gaffey again, or you get a bus on Western. The buses on Western goes down. You know, I know all the bus lines because of my son. And it's just that link from Target up to Western that I think would be beneficiary to a lot of people. I mean, I don't take the bus. I don't use it. My son does when he used to go into, he used to be at the boys club in San Pedro. He used to take it every day from Home Depot all the way down Gaffey to 7th Street, and then he would walk the rest of the way to 13th Street to
Cabrillo, the
yeah,
Cabrillo one.
Cabrillo, yeah. So, you know, and I see a lot of buses, because I train different areas. I see buses right on Harbor Boulevard, you know, that there's a couple stops there, and there's people there waiting for the bus. So, especially this day and age where gas is so expensive. During this
Oh, it wouldn't hurt.
pandemic,
It wouldn't hurt to have a bus from Western down to Gaffey, yeah.
during this pandemic, people with disabilities like my son got to ride the bus for free. So that was a good thing for people that were, you know, disabled people. I don't know if they did senior citizens that way either. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of people that, you know, don't want to use their cars nowadays and want to use the bus. I think, I tell you the truth, if I'm retired, I wouldn't mind going to Target and parking my car there and not using my car and go up to Western myself. You know, I don't know. I think I would. I'm not, you know, we're not raised using the bus here. You know, we got our cars. But, you know, I'm hoping it would transition into, you know, electric buses or whatever, so we can, you know, start using transportation. San Francisco is beautiful on transportation.
Oh, yeah. No, I in the mornings, you know, I go to, you know, because I work at the Assistance League. And I go, like I went today, I'll go back either Thursday or Friday. And I go up, I drop my wife off, and then I come down, you know, drop her off at Torrance Memorial, come up PCH, you know, left on Western, come all the way down. And then I see the buses that pick up people and stuff. And then I'm like, if I'm waiting at Summerlin or, you know, First, I see the bus. I see people getting on and off the bus, you know, by 5, 6, 7 people at a time. So it is busy. You know, there are people using the bus, but like you said, how, you know, and I drive by them and they look pretty, I wouldn't say full, but they're pretty, you know, maybe a 60%. And but I do see people, I even see kids, I even see them where some of them where the Williamsburg School is right there on Weymouth. When I turn left, bus will stop there and about 4 or 5 people come out and go right into the school, and then they go right into the parking lot. So there is a need, and I think we need, you know, we need more buses and more, you know, to get us to the different, you know, from here all the way down to 25th Street, you know, and Western, and even Gaffey, and even Pacific. And maybe on some of the major numbers like 9th Street, very popular street, you know, up and down there, because there's a lot of things on 9th Street, shops and this and that. So, you know, it's something I think we need to look into it more, you know, and I think Dan's checking in on that with some of the Department of Transportation.
The bus lines go up 7th Street, go around. There's buses that hang out in front of the hospital. There's a big bus stop there. That's where they take their breaks. There's a bus stop, a major bus stop on 13th and Gaffey, because I have an apartment building there. And that's major. You know, a lot of people sitting at the bus stop there. So yeah, I see the bus. I see the people. They're using it, and
Yeah.
I like to get in the habit of using it myself. Tell you the truth, you know,
I think
it's a
people would if
habit.
there was more, if they had more convenience, more runs, and knew that it was, you know, we had more routes and runs. I think people would use it, you know, especially if, people that work here, like, you know, they work at the Vons down on 25th Street.
Yeah.
Why would you take your car? Take the bus
Right.
down, you're there in 10 minutes and boom, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The-
think
the
we do
fir-
need it.
You know, as growing up here in San Pedro, you know, they have their own cars. I went vacation up in San Francisco with my wife when we first got married. And it's like, people like, what are you talking about? Take the bus. And I was like, you know, I wanted to take my car, but then up there you got to pay for all the parking lots and stuff like that. And it was convenient once you got to know the system. You know, buses turned into trolley cars, you transferred, and it was convenient in that area, and it was efficient. And they have the electric buses up there. They have cables, wires attached to it. I don't know if they still do that, but
Some,
and then I've ridden the BART system up there too, you know, and another thing that was excellent, you know, excellent, you know, everything
uh,
connected. So
yeah.
you know,
No, San
hopefully,
Francisco's got transportation up the yin yang, so,
and so does Long Beach.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, they really do. You know, and they got the metro going up and down there too, that really helps, so.
yeah, yeah.
that
Oh
works out.
yeah, that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that and their bus system, those red buses that they have run all over the place.
Yep.
And it's pretty cheap to go on. For a while there was free. I don't know if it's still free or not to ride
No,
Long
somebody
Beach.
was telling me that they're charging right now for the fuel and stuff. Some places the bus fares have gone up 50, 60 cents.
Yeah, that's all right to pay. How
Yeah.
much are we paying in our gas tanks every day? So,
Yeah, everybody, that's what some of the people have been bitching to me about. He said, I'm putting $100 in. Well, I said, don't take it down to empty. You know, put
that's
more
fine.
later.
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
You
it
gotta
does. I mean, it's still, yeah, even at a half a tank, it's like $60. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You're
But
just gonna have to refill it more often.
yeah, that's all, you know. All right, Chuck, go ahead, Chuck. Mr. Hart? Oh, Chucky, you got your hand up. Okay. We can't hear you, Chuck, if you're talking. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna move on. I did this so we got these things out of the way. We have the speaker, you know, from the city, you know, from the LA Sanitation Department. His name is James Rosca. And he's going to tell us about the composting, you know, the do's and don'ts. James, is it just you, James, or did you have somebody else too?
It should be just me as far as I know.
Okay. One of the things I have, James, and I've been doing composting, you know, because of, you know, I'm Sicilian and I've been doing it since a kid, you know, putting everything from coffee grinds to eggshells to chicken fat, beef fat, vegetables, peelings of fruits, vegetables, everything in this thing, and then let it ferment and then put the dirt on it, mixed it. And so, but I hear some of the things we can't do anymore. So if you'll give us your explanation on what's going on with the composting, we're all ears.
Great. And yeah, I originally had kind of a presentation set up, but I think since it's such a small group, we can kind of do a more informal setting. But so basically, right, I know a lot of the talk about composting and the green bin has come from a new state legislation. So the bill is called Senate Bill 1383, and it's basically across the state requiring cities to basically allow for composting for all generators. So that's all single family households, all multifamily complexes, restaurants, businesses, supermarkets, to basically compost and collect organic waste. So the state defines organic waste as, right, your yard trimmings, your grass, tree branches, as well as food. So, you know, vegetable scraps, fruit that's gone bad, leftovers, whether it's chicken, grass, dairy, you name it. Basically, if you can eat it, the city needs to have a way to collect it. So a lot of the questions that we've been getting, right, are how are we going to be implementing this program? So sanitation is responsible for the collection from all of the single family households. We provide the black bin, blue bin, and the green bin collection. So, you know, for many years, we've already been collecting all of the yard waste in the green bin, right? All of your grass, tree trimmings, branches, twigs, all of those things. But now we need to start looking at the collection of food waste so that basically that material can be composted instead of, you know, going into your trash bin. So sanitation did a pilot a few years ago, starting back in 2019, and we got about 18,000 households to participate. And we basically instructed them on how to, you know, collect their food scraps, how to collect their food throughout the week, how to try and do things like reducing odors, and try and just address their concerns about this new kind of collection method. You know, don't put food waste into your trash, instead put it into your green bin. And then on your normal weekly collection, the LA Sand truck comes, picks up all of your bins as usual, and we take that green bin now to a composting facility instead of just to the chipping and grinding facilities we were taking it to before. So I guess in terms of kind of what the program is going to look like as a whole, you know, right now we only have those pilot households that are participating, but by the end of the year, all single family households in the city will be able to put food scraps into their green bin. So our goal is by December 31st, all the households in the city will be able to do that if you're serviced by LA Sand. I think I see a hand up for a question. And yeah, if there's any questions throughout, just feel free to cut me off and we can have a, you know, kind of chit chat about it.
Go ahead, Vic.
Well, a couple questions. One, what is considered the organic waste and food scraps? Does that include processed foods, or does that just include, like you said, fresh fruit that has gone bad and that kind of thing? Because, and you also mentioned chickens, so that's meats that typically aren't compostable as home compost type things go. So how is, you know, is it anything? I mean, is it literally anything you can eat? So if it's meat, if it's fruit, if it's you know, powdered, you know, cereal that's food, protein powder, you know, eggs, any of that stuff, or are there exceptions? And then the second part is, does that also include animal droppings, especially herbivores, because they are typically home compostable, but omnivores and carnivores have microbes that can cause problems in the compost, at least with home compost. So how much of that is also going to be compostable through the city?
Yeah, great questions. So in terms of what this program is going to look like, it's going to be, like you said, anything you can eat, whether it's meat or dairy that's been cooked, or fruits and vegetables that have gone bad. If you can consume it, you can place it into the bin. Or if it could have been consumed at one point, you can put it in the bin. The distinction with this program is all of this material the city's collecting will be going to larger scale commercial composters. So, you know, we're talking hundreds of tons of material getting processed, as opposed to just your backyard composting bin. And when you're handling that much material, they're able to handle the things like the meat and the dairy, which you're right, shouldn't go into your backyard composting bin because the bin doesn't get hot enough. It can't kill all of the extra kind of like bacteria and microbes that are present in like meat and dairy. But when it goes to a commercial facility, they're able to handle it just because of the amount and size of material. And then to your second question about, you know, like animal droppings, in terms of like household pets, those should still go into the trash because as you mentioned, right, they have the potential to cause issues when composting. I know we do have a brown bin that LA Sand provides for residents that have horses. That's kind of a more specific, very niche bin that we do provide. But that's just for our residents that have horses on their private properties. For other like animal droppings or household animal droppings, those should go into your black bin to be disposed of.
John, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. You know, the on Gaffey Street where we have that dump site that we can go and bring our electronics to and stuff like that. That works. I see now there's a line. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where I'm talking about on Gaffey Street?
Yeah, that's one of our safe centers. That's where you can drop
Yeah.
off.
Well, that
like
works.
hazardous
That
waste.
works out. That's so convenient. It's so convenient for me to, you know, if I have any kind of electronics, old computers or whatever. To me, it would be more convenient if you have a dump site for this stuff where we can dump our own stuff at a site, just like that site you have there for electronics. And also in really big need is instead of calling 311 for all these big items, we need a site that we can go and dump it ourselves, because what's happening all over the city, all over San Pedro, are these dump trucks are taking their stuff for $50 and dumping it all over the alleys. But if we had a site that we could do to bring our own stuff there, I think it'd make everything a lot better and a lot easier. I'm all for recycling and all that. I recycle. I use the blue ones. I have extra blue ones that I use. I try to use all the recycling bins, and my brown ones, the dark ones, not that full anymore. So, you know, I think that if you had sites to dump, it'd make it a lot easier instead of people putting it on their sidewalks and it's a mess. Just my opinion.
Yeah, so we do have a number of different programs for, you know, that kind of drop-off model. That's more for a lot of the hazardous waste or household waste that right shouldn't go into any of the bins. In terms of food waste, we are actually looking at a model like that, working with the farmers markets and local composters. And that's another program that's going to be kind of implementing this year, is working with farmers markets and local community composting hubs to keep food waste local. Some of the challenges with that is it's more similar to backyard composting, so really targeted more at like your fruits, your vegetables, things that could be handled in like your own garden. But one of the ideas with that is keeping all of that composting local, so then all of that compost that's produced can just go straight back into the community that's managing it, right? As opposed to putting it into the bin and having it be trucked out to a commercial facility. So we are looking at different types of models like that. And then in terms of the bulky items, I do agree that is a big problem that we see with a lot of the illegal dumping and illegal disposal of bulky items. And I think a lot of it just has to do with being able to make residents aware that they can use 311 to schedule free bulky item pickup. And also from even our multifamily buildings, that they can call for free bulky item pickup. I think a lot of people aren't aware of it.
Vic?
Going back to in particular, the food waste, what will the commercial composting facilities be able to filter out as far as things like plastic bags? Because if you have something like eggs, raw chicken, for example, something like that, especially in the summer, and you're throwing it in the green container and it's sitting there for a week, that is going to reek like crazy. So what's going to happen to prevent that sort of thing? Because I can almost guarantee that people are going to put stuff in plastic bags and throw the bag of stuff in there, including the bag, not just the raw food. So I guess it's a two-part question. One, what are you going to do to prevent the reeking smell of all this raw decomposing food for a week? And two, are the facilities going to be able to accept the plastic bags and somehow filter out the plastic mulch or whatever you want to call it, so people don't have to worry about the reeking smell?
Yeah, so great questions. In terms of the collection, right, it's better not to use plastic bags. It does become an issue for the facilities when they're handling all of this material, especially because it'll be green waste plus the food waste. You know, once you have like one plastic bag in the middle of a green waste pile, if they don't see it and it goes through like their shredders, you know, that's 1,000 pieces of plastic that just end up in their compost, which they'll have to try and, you know, filter and pick out at the end of their process. It just becomes more labor and reduces the quality of the finished compost that they get. So we will recommend not using plastic bags. Better alternatives would be either paper bags, although, you know, those you can't tie them off or kind of limit them the same way you do plastic, or using either like a kitchen countertop pail or a bucket to collect your food scraps throughout the week, something that you can wash out or place in the dishwasher, and something that can help to kind of minimize that yuck factor, as you said, as material kind of breaks down throughout the week. And I think another thing in terms of odors is the food waste won't produce any more odor in your green bin than it already does in your black bin. But one of the benefits of placing it in the green bin, if you're doing it properly, is you can layer your your yard waste on top of your food waste. And the green waste actually helps to reduce the odors coming out of the bin. Some other tips and tricks that we've seen from some of the pilot participants were freezing your bits of food scraps until the day that you're going to collect it. So, you know, if you have freezer space to keep just those little bits of food that you have left over at the end of the day, and just dumping it all in on the day before your collection, you know, that can help, as well as using things like baking soda or baking powder to help absorb and minimize odors in either of the bins.
Yeah, but the difference as far as the green versus the black and the food is that you can keep the stuff in a plastic bag and put it in the black container. So you don't notice the smell as much, it's all contained. That isn't true if you can't use the plastic bags in the green container.
Yeah, in other words, what he says, like, and it's true, like what we do, I have these, you know, the bags that you go shopping when you go buy fruits and vegetables and stuff. A lot of times I put the scrappings in there, everything that I do, if I peeled the shrimp skins off, or, you know, whatever fruits and vegetables, if I had that night that I did stuff, I put all them in those bags, and then I just tie it up tight and throw it in the black bin, and you don't smell nothing, and throw it away. But you will get, you know, and that's one of the things, James, that when we throw stuff, all these different foods, like you said, the, you know, chicken meat, beef, whatever, fats and this and that in there, and with all the you know, shavings from whether it's carrots or beets or radishes, or peelings from an apple, a pear, a banana, and all that stuff. After, you know, if it sits in a week, especially here, like a day like today, which was about 87 degrees here today, you know, that trash can, if the heat stays like that, it's going to really smell. You know, and you're going to have to get it washed more frequently. You know, the trash cans, we're gonna, you know, but it's too bad that you guys don't have anything that dissolves, that's biodegradable, a bag of some sort that's biodegradable and doesn't harm any of the elements. And I don't know if you guys have anything like that, but.
So there are companies that are looking into making these biodegradable or compostable, you know, whether it's bags or plates or even utensils. Right, a lot of people are trying to find alternatives to plastic, like single-use items. The challenge with those is they don't break down in the composting process, or at least they don't break down fully. So right, it kind of poses a similar challenge to even the conventional plastic bag. right? Even if it does start to break down, or it's able to break down in the compost, it doesn't do so fully the amount of time that, you know, these composting operations take place in. So they see kind of a similar challenge on the back end if they have a lot of plastic in their finished product. But I know that there are kind of changes in the industry to try and develop these types of bags or these types of materials that could be compatible with an organics collection program.
John DeMiglio.
I think eventually, I mean, you're gonna have bugs, ants, animals all around that are smelling this food. Eventually people are gonna start dumping it in alleys just like they dump all the other stuff in alleys. I don't think it's gonna work.
Yeah, so those are definitely challenges that we think are, right, very valid concerns. And I think a lot of it will have to be, you know, how can we try and make it as simple and as convenient for people as possible, and what tips and methods can help to try and reduce, you know, those odors or kind of those barriers to participation. But unfortunately, it is a state mandated program, and right, ideally we want everyone to be able to do it properly and effectively from the get-go, but also be able to address, right, those concerns from all the residents.
Chuck? Go ahead, Chuck. Unmute.
How's that?
There you go.
Okay. Personally, I think this is crazy. I'm sorry, but I'm entitled to my opinion. Solve all these problems, potential problems, please, before you implement this policy. Until you solve all these problems and make our life so damn difficult. Don't raise our taxes anymore. Keep this thing simple. If you can't do it, don't do it. That's my advice. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Pat?
I think we heard some of these kinds of concerns back in the 50s when we were told we had to separate our trash from our, and couldn't burn our trash in the backyard anymore, and then we had to separate the trash from the bottles and cans and so forth. And eventually we adjusted to it. I have a couple of questions. I think we're kind of doing a lot of this right now. Our eggshells, I think it's John and both Johns were talking about, you know, the eggshells and coffee grounds and other things go into our composting bins now. And I guess the difference is now that they're going to go into the green bin along with our green waste. My question is what's are we going to be mandated as individuals, homeowners to, or, you know, people to become recyclers? There's going to be a fine or something. How's this going to work?
So that's a great question. So the city will not be going through any process to, you know, issue fines to individual homeowners. Right, the idea of the program is that it will be automatically provided just as part of your existing waste collection process. Your bins will get picked up as always, like normal. We do have requirements from the state to do monitoring of bins. That's not on like an individual household basis. But if you know, we see from our waste that there's still, you know, food waste ending up in the trash, or we don't see food waste ending up in the green waste as we're picking up from all of our neighborhoods, you know, we just need to go out and provide that education that, you know, this is the shift of the program, and to try and get residents on board. But right, the intention of the city isn't ever to issue individual fines to residents for not participating.
Follow-up question. I think I don't know how much it is to pay for trash now, $57 or $97, something like that, every 2 months goes on my water bill, or my DWP bill. Now are we gonna get another surcharge for this program?
So that's also a very good question. The processing of organic waste, through this commercial compost is more expensive. We've brought this up to the city council on a number of occasions, and the city council is looking to do rate payer relief to try and minimize any impact that this would have to residents. We're also in communications with the state to try and find rate payer relief, because this is, in theory, an unfunded mandate from the state. That is a concern that the city has had since the legislation was first passed. So in reality, the processing, yes, is more expensive. Whether that cost will then be moved over to the ratepayer, that's what the state and the city are still working on.
So the answer is yes, it's going to be passed on to the ratepayer, right? It will be.
John DeMiglio.
Yeah, I just don't see it working with apartment buildings. Right now, I do more recycling than anybody in my unit. They barely have one per four families. And it ain't gonna work. Also, they need a dumping facilities. I'm all for dumping facilities where I can go and dump maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week. That would work. But to have this is just going to be just like anything else. You're going to have stuff all over the streets. It's going to be dirty and messy, bugs, everything. It's just not going to work. And I'm all for recycling. I do it myself, but not everybody's doing that right now either. So like Chuck said, you really got to look into this a lot more before you start this, before we have a big mess. Thanks.
James, one of the things I know, like, I used to, and, I don't anymore. Like I said, I've got a lot of vegetation in the back of my yard, and sometimes it's not all the time, I have a little butter thing that I save all the coffee grounds from the espresso I make to, my father-in-law still has a percolator that we do for him, and I take the grounds from that, but mostly from the espresso machine that I have that then it goes on the stove and makes the coffee. I'll get that thing kind of full, and then I'll take it and I'll throw it around the trees, around my avocado, my lemon trees, and if I got any vegetables growing, but my 2 fig trees, all of my trees that I have that are fruit trees, I'll put the coffee grinds around it, because whatever that's in the coffee and stuff, it's always helped. And even composting, like I said, when you take the shells, the fats, all vegetables, all peels from a vegetable to a fruit, and you let it sit there and ferment for a while, and then you put the dirt on it, and then you mix it with, with the shovel. I mean, I used to do that all the time, and it's disgusting, but it sure makes, when you mix it in with the dirt before you start planting stuff, and you get in there and I got a rototiller, I'll go and rototiller everything. It's fine, but like the guys are saying, we put these in the trash cans, and I'm sure everybody here has seen it. How many times you throw stuff away in the trash can, and food, even though it's in plastic or anything, and I've seen those little white worms. I can't think of the freaking names right now, but anyway, I'd see them loaded, in the trash can for that. So, if we start putting all of this stuff just the way it is in the green trash can, I have to agree. How do we stop, all the bugs and everything, and or even raccoons coming around, opening up the lids and trying to get in there, and they're gonna start. Animals and stuff, coyotes and stuff, they're not stupid. When they smell the damn food, they're coming for it. And this is an issue I think that all of us have, that, you know, John and Pat, and Chuck and Vic, we've all brought it up. But having a facility, I think, and I agree with Demiglio and everybody, that, you know, it's better. I can always put it in a 5, you know, I got a Home Depot buckets and I just fill that up, put the lid on it and go there and then boom, dump it. I come home, rinse the bucket out again and start all over. But you know, to do it at the house and put it all in that green bucket and then throw the grass on top of it, and I just, I don't feel like washing trash cans every week. That's for sure. You know, I think this has to be more. I don't know. I just, like John said and everybody says, that I think you guys really need to look into this and take, you know, some of the stuff we tell you. I mean, we're not being buttheads about it or anything. We just, these are facts that people are, they're going to think twice. And you are going to get a lot of people with plastic bags. Like Vic said, they're going to put it in a bag and dump it in there. And now you got plastic. So I don't know. What's your take?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, you know, voicing all these concerns, right, are very real concerns that we do expect residents to have, right, as we roll out the program. So I do want to assure you that I will take these recommendations back, or kind of these concerns back, and how we can kind of build it into the, you know, the education and outreach, and, you know, just what are ways we can try and minimize all of those challenges or difficulties.
Yeah, I know they got the tamale guy that goes up and down the streets every, you know, sometimes once or twice a week. Maybe you guys can have a big truck like that and we could all just meet you outside and dump it. They used to do something like that years ago in New York. I'm from there. And that's as a kid, I remember there would be a truck that comes by and you just dump this in, give it to them. They climb up and dump all your waste inside. That's what they did for composting. Take it out to Long Island or something like that. And, you know, but just a thought. Who had their hand up? Chuck? Or go Chuck.
All right. Am I on? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. John, I'm James. Don't forget the tax issue. You're solving all the flies and the maggots. The tax issue is a no-go. No more taxes, no more. Thank you, Pat, for bringing that up.
Go ahead, Vic.
And there's also the issue, which has somewhat been brought up already, but I'll make it more explicitly brought up. Not all of the food that goes into that container, banana peels, eggs, chicken, things like that, will actually end up coming out when the container is dumped. They'll stick to the sides, they'll stick to the bottom. And then not only do you have a week's worth of smell and rotting and whatever, you have, you know, 2, 3, 4 weeks unless you get in there, wash it out, scrape it down, whatever. And yeah, that could be somewhat remedied by putting, you know, maybe some grass clippings and things like that, then put that kind of food and then the grass on top. But if those other things are heavy enough, they'll fall right through the grass clippings and that kind of thing and get stuck on the sides. And then you're going to have even more smell. So besides the smell of the new taxes, no new taxes, you got the smell of all this food that's stuck to the sides of the containers for who knows how long before they get cleaned out. And as far as the animals go, they may need to quote unquote bear proof the trash cans and have some kind of locking lid that raccoons and other animals can't open up.
Yeah, all great points. And to the locking lid point, we have been working with the companies that develop the bins to see, you know, if there are potentials to install things of that nature. And I think they have started working on bins that have kind of like a locking or rotating lid. because you're right, they're aware of this program being rolled out throughout the state. So I think they're also starting to see that as a cause for concern. And then in terms of if there are leftover food scraps, from when the bin gets dumped, in the case it doesn't fall into the truck, that is definitely a potential for issue and potential for odor. I think one of the best things that people can do is, kind of like the idea of consolidating your waste throughout the week, and then being able to put it just on top of your bin the day before your collection. That helps to make sure that it's all at the top of the bin. So when it gets flipped into the truck, it all gets out rather than at the bottom of the bin. And also, the idea about as opposed to a plastic bag, a paper bag does work perfectly fine for being able to go into the bin, because even if that paper gets processed at the compost facility, it'll compost the same as all of the food waste. The paper is able to, but the plastic isn't. So being able to use paper bags as a collection method for food scraps throughout the week does work as an alternative. That hopefully helps to reduce, some of those concerns about loose food in the green bin.
Chuck?
Unmute, Chuck.
We're not gonna have any grass to throw in the bins because we can't water our grass. So, and then we're gonna get charged more if we start washing out the bins with water, because our water bill is gonna go up. So this is a dead end street. Forget about it.
I don't know if they're gonna forget about it, but, hopefully, James, we have concerns, and it's not just us, we speak for the, for our city, and we know how people think, and it's gonna be, I'll be honest with you. I have, and I'm quite sure some of you guys know this guy, Brian. He does a lot of the cleaning of the barrels and all of that. He goes around, and I have him out here once a month sometimes to wash out, because it gets so bad, to clean out, and of course, then he sprays it, and then I don't get the animals and stuff. But the concern is, especially here in San Pedro, especially in our area right here in the Northwest area, it gets hot. And even when my guy comes and mows the lawn and he throws the stuff in there, even a couple of days that it sits, because they come on Friday, I mean, if I open up that lid, oh my God, it smells, even though it's the trash or any plants that I've trimmed, I've cut back or thrown any limb. I mean, it reeks. That green barrel reeks. And sometimes after they come on Monday or Tuesday here, I got to rinse it out. I got to spray some stuff in there, some ammonia or whatever, anything is biodegradable, just to clean it so it doesn't, because and everybody knows this, that fermented grass smells bad, that it's been sitting to, especially if the heat gets to it. So it's a big concern for all of us. And, I know having a place where we can go and dump it, I think people would like that. I think people would do more of that, but these are all our opinions and what we think about what's happening, with this composting. So, any other questions, guys, for James? Pat?
Yeah, do you have a program in mind to encourage people to use these composting products, to use them and save them and use them in their own yards and their own plants, rather than dumping them in the green bin?
Yeah, so LA San has hosted backyard composting workshops. So to be able to educate residents on doing composting at home. So if you can manage the bits of food waste that you have left over in your own yard, that's better than placing it into the bin to be collected. We've historically hosted them up in Griffith Park and Lopez, and then we most recently expanded down into South LA. And then it's actually great that you bring that up, because the newest location is in San Pedro. So LA San just built a new Gaffey Nature Center It was in collaboration with one of our one of our stormwater projects. So they've built an area where they're going to host composting workshops. So that is also a great opportunity for residents to be able to, handle their food scraps without necessarily having to place it into the green bin.
What's the address of that center?
It is 720 North Summerlin Avenue. And then the workshops are going to be hosted once a month. And I think the very first workshop is actually happening on April 2nd. Normally the workshops are able to just be walked up to, but due to COVID, we are requiring everyone to register prior to the events. So we have an Eventbrite page where you can see all of the monthly workshops that are hosted through LA SAN. And I can send you what the URL for that page is.
Yes, please. That would be good.
James, so I know a lot of people, it'll be good though. It'll help them to know if they wanted to use that stuff, for vegetation and trees and all of that. Are you guys, the board, are you interested if we got this person to come and speak and explain how he does everything, how they do it for the backyard? Would you be interested in hearing what they say about it and how to do it for the backyard, for your trees and plants and stuff? Anybody? Raise a hand.
Yeah. I say yes.
Okay. James, if you can, send us who to talk to over there, and maybe we can have them come on maybe next month at our meeting and explain to us, or explain to most people and, explain it to us and, what the teachings and what's the, of course, what's, how good is it going to be for our plants and stuff and what it does. I think if people have a better idea, it might, cut back a little bit. You do need a little piece of spot to, of course, make a hole and then put this stuff in a hole and let it ferment and then put dirt on it and let it go for a few more days and then mix it up, mulch it up. And then, that's usually how I always did it, with my dad and my mom, my father, that's how they always did it. So, if there's a possibility, James, that we could do that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I can reach out to the staff on our end that host the workshops. And also as a note, we do also sell compost bins at the workshop. So if residents want to buy a compost bin that they can keep, either in their backyard or somewhere, where they have space to kind of do all of this, if, in case they don't want to do it directly in their yard, they can purchase those as well.
Okay. Last question, Chuck, go ahead. Is he unmute or you didn't have a question? Okay. Pat?
Yeah, James, I was thinking when I was talking about things to encourage people to use their own compost stuff, I was wondering if you had a program, thinking about a program for things like kitchen grinder or something like that, and kitchen counter type buckets. I've seen those. And the other thing is that what's the chances of having Department of Sanitation, collect the compost material and deliver it to something like the Feed and Be Fed Garden that's over at the Christensen Science Center, and or the place on 6th Street, the Feed and Be Fed Garden down there.
Yeah, so in terms of programs to do kind of local composting, a lot of that we're looking at using through the farmers markets. So that kind of falls in line with the, dropping off your food waste at a location. So we're going to be partnering with kind of community organizations to have like drop-off locations for food scraps, and then be able to use that to create compost, either community gardens or like community spaces that have need for or have the ability to use that compost themselves. So we are looking at models for that as well.
Go ahead, Chuck.
One more try. All right. I cemented my backyard, right? So I have no place for compost. And now I'm getting, my taxes are gonna go up because I'm creating more problems for the sun, the heat, whatever you wanna call that stuff, the greening. So then I put in a fake front lawn, right? So I won't have to spend the water. So now I have no dirt in the front yard either. Very, very little. And now they're gonna raise my taxes again for doing all that stuff, trying to do good. And now they're adding another layer of, pardon the expression, crap on me and the rest of the country. This is nonsense. This is nonsense. We have a system that's working. Let it work. Spread the taxes to everybody, not just me. Goodbye.
All right. If there's nothing else, James, I want to thank you for coming here and, explaining this and what they're looking to do. And hopefully you got enough questions that you can use in your board meetings and stuff to find out more. We want to thank you for coming, and if you get that information to us about this, where these locations are for us to get trained, and we can have somebody come next month and explain that, and we look forward to it.
Yeah, of course. And thank you all for your time. And, don't ever feel bad about hard-hitting questions, because that only helps us to then be able to address the concerns and, see what our residents are really starting to feel about these types of programs. So want to make you all feel assured that we are hearing everything that you and every other constituent is starting to bring forward to us. So thank you all for your concern as well.
All right, well, thank you for being here, and we appreciate it. Vic, we got anything else? I think that's it.
Yeah, that was the only thing, the last
Yeah, that's
item
why I
other-
made them, that's why I made
last
them
item
last.
other than the, next meeting and adjourn.
Yeah, next meeting's, April 26th?
Right.
All right, well, everybody have a great week, and stay safe, and eat a lot of pasta, because that's what we do as Italians. So,
Stay
Thanks, James.
right, John? We just eat a lot of pasta.
Yeah, and
All
stay
right,
cool.
guys, take care. Guys, have a nice weekend coming up. See you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, Vic, you're gonna